All right, I want to move on. Let's go into this really good news for those of us who have been around for a long time. And I know I've seen it on social media. Everyone is celebrating, and rightly so. EA Sports is coming back. NCAA football is coming back, and they will feature player names. And rejoice, because I think that this is awesome. This is awesome. Now, it brings up a much bigger conversation that I'd love to have here over the next few moments. But first and foremost, this is great. And I think it's great for the players. I think it's great for the fans. It's great for everybody involved. Hopefully it's great for EA Sports as well. Now, it does bring up what I believe to be two truths. Not utes, but truths. Truths. I believe two things can be simultaneously true about this era of, let's just call it like the NIL era. Let me start with the first one, and I think it's the most obvious, but NIL has, I believe, created a golden age of college football, and I believe that we are at the dawn of that golden age. College football has never been better. Interest has never been higher. All the problems that we have in college football are champagne problems, which is amazing, right? Like, other sports would be dying to have the problems that college football have. We don't have a lessening popularity. We don't have to fight for viewership, right? Like, it's there. People are interested. People love the sport. And because of that, there are some things that need to be tweaked. Well, listen, NIL is creating like the dawn of the golden age of college football, which is amazing. Partly because I think we're going to have a deeper class of athlete in college basketball and college football more specifically. And we're starting to see that bear out. Next year, we're going to see the fruits of the NIL golden age. I believe next year we're going to have as good of a college football season as we've had in a long time, in part because we've got more depth of talent in college football. Why do we have that? Well, let me tell you. Because we have players that no longer have to go to the NFL. You see, prior, if you could get a third-round grade or a fourth-round grade, even a fifth-round grade, it was like, I got to go. I got to go, and I've got to capitalize on that value right now because who knows what can happen. I got to start my clock. There was all these reasons for it, and guess what? Nobody, at least in my estimation, knocked the players for that. It was like, we all got it. Yes, absolutely you have to go. Coaches would tell players, you got to go. You got to get out of here. Well, now it's just a little bit different. Blake Corum's a great example of this. And I know Jim Harbaugh told him, hey, you need to go. But Blake Corum is a prototypical example about what I'm about to talk about. If you have a third through fifth round grade, and that's probably where you're going to get drafted, and you are a star on your team, like a Blake Corum or a Michael Penix or a Bo Nix out at Oregon, well, guess what? You're likely going to make as much or more money staying in school than you would in your rookie season in the National Football League. So you don't automatically have to go anymore because the NIL deals are really good, and rightly so. And because of that, we're getting players that I think previously would have absolutely gone to the NFL that are staying in college football. Again, the dawn of the golden age because of the depth of talent in our sport. And I think that that's a really great thing. I brought up those players right there. There's another one, Olu Fashanu, the lineman from Penn State. He probably would have been a first-round draft pick. But guess what? In his mind, he doesn't have to go anymore. Why? Because he can make a good chunk of change staying at Penn State, being a star at Penn State, and it's not like he's foregoing every last penny by not going to the NFL. I think that that's a really good thing. There's one other piece of this that I think is important to note is that in the NFL, you're seeing a lot of those team options declined for players in their first contract. And I think college athletes see that and they say to themselves, okay, well, I guess what? If I'm got a fourth round grade, not only can I stay in school and make as much money as I would if I went to the NFL next year, but I also have then that year to increase my value, to try to get to the second round or the first round where there's actual life-changing money even in the first contract. Okay, so those are really good problems to have if you're a player. And if you've got that choice, well, then now you've got to make an an actual decision. So again, there you go. A little bit of a golden age of NIL. Now, that's the first truth. The second truth is that I think that the pendulum has swung too far towards the players. Again, they're going to sound like they're contradictions, but they're not. They're not. We are entering into a golden age of college football because of NIL, and yet the parameters surrounding NIL have swung way too far towards the player. I think that, and I'm not going to, this is not an argument about like, I'm a player and you're not. That's not what I'm doing. But I think my perspective is interesting because I played in the early 2000s and now I've covered the sport my entire adult life. So I've seen how much better the environment is and the overall life is for a player, even outside of NIL, from the early 2000s until now, 2023. The increase in stipend money, the increase in meal plan money, the increase in the investment into mental health and nutrition and development and all of those things. And that's even before NIL. Now you put NIL on top of that and you can actually go out and make really good money. Really good money. And then you can also transfer anytime you want. And so now the portal is open. And so college football players have never had more power than they do right now. And I'm here to tell you, I think that the pendulum has swung too far. There's got to be some parameters because in every contract worth its salt and in every relationship worth its salt, there's got to be equal benefits as well as equal responsibility. There's got to be some recourse. Listen, Fox has recourse over me. Right? Like, I enter into a contract with Fox Sports. Guess what? It's really beneficial to me. I love it. It's an amazing deal. And guess what? They have some recourse. I can't go do whatever I want. I've got non-competes and I've got exclusives. There is language in there that holds me responsible for certain behaviors, performances, exclusivity, all of those things. And there's none of that for players in college football. So, is it great that they're getting these things? Yes. Does there need to be some parameters? Absolutely, because every good contract has both benefit and responsibility. There's benefit and recourse. If you even go, like, throw in a biblical reference, there's got to be some element of being equally yoked in that contract and in that relationship. So, until that happens, schools are going to have to take a hard look at like, well, where are we investing the money? How is our NIL collective, working? How much are we giving to them in the form of cash? Now, how much are we investing into the nutrition or into the weight room development or into whatever it is, the classroom development? Because right now it's one-sided and it can't continue that way. When I talk with coaches around the country and I talked with like really high-level coaches that have been doing this for a long time and guys that have been doing this for a very short time. And they all say the same thing. It's like, listen, this is unsustainable. And it's unsustainable because there's no recourse. As soon as there's some responsibility for the player or some recourse for the school, then those contracts are going to start to even out. Those relationships will start to even out. So as we are in the golden era and age and at the dawn of that age, because of NIL and a great point and champagne problems for college football, yes, there does need to be some guidelines. We need to rein this in a little bit because you cannot have one-way contracts. It will not work. It will not work in the long term. Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoy that clip, make sure you click subscribe somewhere down here. From game highlights to exclusive interviews and rankings, we've got everything you need as a college football fan right here, College Football on Fox.